Bitcoin price rising is one of them. So Bitcoin itself is, and I've been talking about this, is basically eating every other asset class for lunch. It is outperforming everything.
Bitcoin is doing something right now that only shows up before a major move. The chart is tight, the range is narrow, volatility is crushed. That always means one thing: pressure. Pressure building under the surface, pressure that never stays quiet for long. And Raoul Pal says this is the moment where smart money loads up, not after breakout, before. Because the cycle we are in is not the normal 4-year cycle. It is longer, it is stretched, it is running on global liquidity instead of just the Bitcoin halving. And every major liquidity signal is starting to flip green. When liquidity turns, Bitcoin does not wait, it reacts first. That is why Raoul Pal is telling people that the window to position early is closing fast.
People ask me, what is my projection? What is my prediction? As if that's going to help you. It's not. Let's say up a lot. Do I think Bitcoin 3x's from here? Yes, almost without question. But for some reason, everybody gets messed up in this. Wait till the signals from the macro tell you, and then we'll see where the price is.
The current crypto market is in a tense moment. Prices are climbing and altcoins are showing renewed activity, yet skepticism lingers. Many investors, having experienced...
Right now, the biggest thing happening is simple. There is no new money coming in, but there is no real selling either. It is a standstill moment, a compression moment. Stablecoin growth has been flat for months. That alone explains the slow market. Stablecoins are the fuel. Without fuel, markets pause. Not die, pause. And in these pause phases, charts look boring. Traders get angry. People scream that the bull is over. But Raoul always says this is where the biggest opportunities hide. Because when liquidity re-enters, the market does not move step by step. It jumps. Bitcoin uses this silence to build a base. Reaccumulation. Strong hands take supply. Weak hands give up. This is why long ranges matter. Every time Bitcoin formed a tight range like this, it exploded out of it. The same thing happened in 2016. The same thing happened in 2020. The same structure is back now.
With Real Vision, I've been able to educate people about how this is the future of the new financial system, how it's going to solve a lot of the problems, even before I understood how big it was going to be for not just the financial system, but
And this time, the setup is even bigger because the macro environment is shifting. Treasury spending is coming back. The government shutdown stopped the flow. But once it reopens, a wave of liquidity hits the system. Rate cuts are coming. China is printing again. Banks are about to get easier rules. All of these things send money into risk assets. And Bitcoin is the first risk asset in the line. The macro story is simple. Global economies slowed down. Businesses paused, but they didn't collapse. Jobs softened, but they didn't crash. Inflation cooled, but it didn't break anything. And now, central banks are forced to add liquidity again because growth needs support. The moment this liquidity shows up, Bitcoin wakes up.
we did that with money. You create scarce money, it now has more value. That's Bitcoin. And with art, we've done the same thing. Digital art had zero value, and now suddenly it has immense value.
Raoul Pal says Bitcoin is the purest bet on global liquidity. When liquidity rises, Bitcoin rises. When liquidity falls, Bitcoin slows. And all signals right now are saying liquidity is ready to rise again. That is why he is shouting that loading up now is smarter than chasing later. The chart shows the same thing. Bitcoin is forming one of the tightest volatility squeezes of this cycle. Every squeeze leads to expansion. And the longer the squeeze, the bigger the expansion. Traders see the chop, macro guys see the setup. Smart money is accumulating in silence. The fear you see online is not real signal. It is emotion from people who don't understand macro. They look at sideways charts and think, the rally died. But this rally didn't die. It paused because liquidity paused, and now the liquidity engine is turning back on.
Ethereum has a whole bunch of other things, and the Ethereum 2.0 and the staking and taking coins off the market there. There's a lot of positives and the amount of development that's going on in the DeFi space. But the easy trade is follow the money. We get to front run a wall of money. Now with Ethereum...
And something else is happening behind the scenes. ETF inflows are steady, even during slow markets. That means large buyers are entering without hype. That is not normal behavior at tops. That is accumulation behavior. Tops happen with excitement. Bottoms and bases happen with boredom. This market right now is in deep boredom. That is why it is powerful. Altcoins look dead, but dead altcoins in low liquidity are normal. They are not designed to move without stablecoin expansion. Once stablecoins grow again, altcoins wake up, but Bitcoin always moves first. Raoul calls it the leader of the liquidity wave. Bitcoin shows direction, Ethereum gives confirmation, altcoins follow, and right now Bitcoin is preparing its next direction. Ethereum is showing the same base pattern. Supply is locked, staking is rising, burn is active, and Ethereum has barely moved because stablecoins didn't grow. This is good. It means no blow off top, no excess hype, no exhaustion. It means Ethereum is sitting on a supply shock that needs only a small liquidity push to ignite. Solana shows even more pressure. A full year of sideways means one thing: fuel. Long sideways ranges are where the biggest moves are born. And Sol tends to run stronger than Ethereum when liquidity hits. Raoul calls this part of the cycle the speed phase, when charts that spent months sleeping wake up at once.
Okay.
I think we're going through a rotation right now where lots of non-economically interested parties are rotating out of the asset, and then a new cohort of investors are entering. A lot of Bitcoin was, for whatever reason, left in the hands of governments.
But everything, every coin, every chart, every move depends on one thing: liquidity. And the liquidity wave is starting to rise again across the world. Rate cuts, balance sheet changes, treasury spending, China injections, dollar weakness, all lining up at the same time. This alignment does not happen often. Last time we had an alignment like this, Bitcoin went from 10,000 to 69,000 in months. And that was with weaker liquidity conditions than we have coming now. That is why Raoul Pal is confident that the real run, the crazy run, is still ahead, not behind. This current phase is the patience test. The moment smart investors act, the moment weak investors quit. And every cycle shows the same truth. The biggest moves happen right after the maximum boredom phase. Right when people are tired. Right when timelines turn negative. Right when traders doubt everything. Because the market is not dying, the market is loading.
So crypto divides into two different categories, if you will. There's store value, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I don't care what the maxi says, Bitcoin's worth what somebody will pay for it. You know what the maximum number of Bitcoins out there are going to be, right? 21 million. So I think Bitcoin's going to be okay, but where the price is going to go and when, it's just supply and demand.
What about Ethereum?
And when Bitcoin loads this long, it never moves small. The pressure inside the market is not small anymore. You can feel it building in every chart. Bitcoin is holding strong even with low liquidity. That itself is a signal. Weak markets fall in low liquidity. Strong markets hold. And this market is holding because big buyers are absorbing everything. Silent accumulation is happening under the surface. The reason this matters is simple. When the liquidity wave hits, Bitcoin does not need to fight resistance. It has already cleared most of it. It only needs a spark. And that spark comes every time the macro flips. The bond market is already pricing in easier conditions. Yield curves are turning. That is Bitcoin's favorite environment. When yields fall, money moves. And the first place it moves is Bitcoin. This is why Raoul Pal keeps saying load up before the move. Because once Bitcoin catches liquidity, the chart becomes vertical. The slow range disappears overnight. The breakout candle is usually huge. And people who were waiting for confirmation end up chasing green candles instead of buying the base.
This price action is great, and I think Q4 is going to be great. But it's only going to be great for you if you can survive the pullbacks and survive the boring periods and survive the sell-in Mays and go aways and all of the traditional TradFi bullshit that has been driving traditional markets. And
This cycle is not showing weakness. It is showing pressure. You can see that pressure in the way dips get bought fast. Even bad news can't push price down. That only happens when sellers are weak and buyers are strong. A weak market does not behave like this. A tired market does not behave like this. A market preparing for a new wave behaves exactly like this. Ethereum follows the same pattern. The chart is tight. The float is small. Stakers keep locking tokens, and the burn keeps reducing supply. Ethereum does not need a big catalyst to move. It only needs the liquidity door to open. And once Ethereum starts moving, it sends a clear message to the whole market. It signals the next phase.
Where do you see Ether price going, say, the end of this year, or maybe even the end of this cycle, if you still think in terms of cycles, if you think this will play out in the next 12 to 18 months, let's say? Where do you think we go?
Well, I think the near-term price people should think about is Ethereum getting to 4,000, because Ethereum is a better story than it was in December.
Solana is holding a massive compression range, a year-long coil. Charts like that do not break down in bull cycles. They break up, and they break up hard. So OECL is always fast when it gets liquidity. It does not move slowly, like ETH. It jumps because traders wake up all at once. When SOL candles grow, the whole market gains confidence. Altcoins sit last in the chain, but they are the loudest when the wave hits. Total 3 is still below its big ceiling, but that is normal for this part of the cycle. Bitcoin leads, Ethereum follows, SOL accelerates, altcoins explode. This is how every cycle works. Nothing has changed except timing. And timing right now is on the edge of a major shift. Stablecoin supply is the biggest clue. Months of flat growth mean no fresh inflows. That explains the slow action. But the moment stablecoins turn up, the market turns with them. It is the cleanest signal for altcoin season. When you see that line rise again, you know liquidity is coming. And stablecoins rise when treasury spending returns and rate cuts take effect. The shutdown froze liquidity, not forever, just for a short time. When it reopens, almost $1 trillion locked in the treasury account starts flowing. That money enters the system, and markets respond fast. Bitcoin responds first. This is why Raoul Pal keeps pointing to the liquidity setup instead of focusing on headlines. Headlines distract, liquidity decides. And the liquidity setup ahead is huge. Rate cuts are coming because growth is slowing and inflation is cooling. China is printing again. Banks will get easier rules. Dollar strength is fading. You rarely see all these things line up at once. When they do, risk assets explode upward.
This is November 2022. That was the perfect bottom. I mean, are you getting the picture here in regards to the majority often never being right? Markets don't top on depression. They top on euphoria, and that's still to come in my opinion, and we think crypto is going to be the best performing asset in that environment. It's literally at the perfect bottom of this pullback. XRP is still booking the trend, and something big for XRP is coming. Try and remain optimistic.
Bitcoin is sitting in the perfect place. A tight base, a low volatility zone, a quiet market. These conditions do not hold forever. They break. And when they break, the move is powerful. The longer the quiet, the louder the breakout. People online are emotional. They think sideways means danger. They think slow means dead, but sideways means load-up zone. Slow means expansion coming. Every cycle traps people in boredom right before the biggest move. And right now, the boredom is extreme. That itself is a signal. ETF flows are still positive. That means fresh buyers are coming even without hype. That is not top behavior. That is early phase behavior. Tops have euphoria. This market has impatience. Tops have excitement. This market has doubt. Tops have greed. This market has fear. Those are the signs of a base, not a peak. The macro supports this base. Liquidity supports this base. Market structure supports this base. The only thing missing is the trigger. And the trigger is coming fast as central banks shift from tightening to easing. The moment easing begins, Bitcoin becomes the strongest asset in the system again. Raoul calls the next phase the crazy high phase, the banana zone, the period when price does not behave normally anymore, when volatility spikes upward, when moves that used to take months happen in days. Bitcoin has done this before, and it will do it again. The setup is there. The compression is there. The liquidity is coming. This is not a market you chase later. This is a market you build into early, because once Bitcoin leaves the range, it will not come back to give easy entries. Breakouts from long bases become vertical climbs. Anyone who hesitates watches the move from behind. The cycle peak is not here, Raoul says. The real mania comes in 2026 because liquidity is delayed. That means the entire market still has runway. This is not the end. This is the middle. This is the coiling phase before the launch. The smart move now is simple. Understand the setup, ignore the boredom, follow the liquidity. Because when Bitcoin finally moves, it will not move small. It will move in a way that shocks even the people waiting for it. This is the moment you prepare. This is the moment Raoul Pal is warning about. This is the moment where loading up makes the biggest difference. The breakout is getting close. And when it hits, Bitcoin will go crazy high.